November 2025 soul story. If you have a sun, rising, or moon in this sign, this is your reading. It's Romy here. Thanks so much for joining me on the channel. We're opening up this month with the energy of the King of Wands. You're really going to make some strides in November, and you will be more confident, but almost like the path to that confidence is willing to explore the areas where you don't have it. That's the work, and the thing that's going to help you to do that is almost this unwillingness to either return to or continue to endure something that has felt restrictive. And so almost like given the choice, it's like, I'm just going to do what feels like the hard thing because actually it's going to put me in a better position moving forward. So there's a real sense of accountability that you take for some aspect of your life that isn't serving you. And I think the time that you had through the month of October to really be an assessment around this and maybe just have a little bit of time and space to really think it through is definitely put you in this I need to prepare, and this is what I need to take care of, right? And that very much is November's theme. Now, the 4th, we're going to see Mars shifting into fellow fire sign Sagittarius, which is super helpful for you. It gives that sense of drive. We do have an opposition on the 4th with Mars and Uranus, so there could be a little bit of a curveball energy that comes out. But again, it feels like, to me, that's almost the moment where you're like, I am not willing to endure or put up with or go back to something that I have outgrown and that I no longer want to validate in my life, right? That is right ahead of our full moon in Taurus that comes in on the 5th of the month. And the Taurus energy is, of course, lighting up your second house. So something around the culmination of that moon definitely connected into where you're sitting right now with your prosperity consciousness. And it's almost like you're closer than you've ever been to something like clicking into place. And I just have this sense of like, you're just never going to look back after that. And so you can feel it, right? You might even get some really powerful signs of it at that full moon in Taurus, okay? And I think, you know, when we see the Three of Swords, it's a sort of recognition of like, you know, the pain of the discomfort or the pain of like it staying the same. It's almost just like either way, there's something that's going to have to be faced or acknowledged or dealt with. But actually it can be incredibly cathartic and really like a truth serum, you know, it kind of sets you free in a way. There's also this sense of the actions that you take, maybe upsetting the apple cart a little bit, you know, but at the same time, this is about you recognizing like how much you're actually capable of shaping what happens next to you. And I think with that realization, it's almost like irrefutable in terms of what needs to happen, what needs to be done, what needs to be said. It's almost like you're really understanding in this month of November, Aries, how to use your autonomy fully, right? Now, with Venus moving into Scorpio on the 6th of the month, that has us in a place where we want to go deep and we want to bond, we want to really connect and get really up close, personal and intimate with things. And it may be with the emotions, you know, with the wounds, with the pain, but also with the truth. And I feel like in a way the truth sets you free, but first, you know, it may have some sense of discomfort that comes along with it. We also have Uranus backtracking into Taurus on the 7th, where it will remain through to April 2026. And so for the last 8 years, you're also going to be revisiting something. And there is that bigger sense through November of revisiting. But I really feel for you that in that understanding, there's also absolute clarity in terms of what you are no longer willing to accept or put up with. And you know, the lessons learned, it's almost like don't forget the lessons learned, okay? But you're also going to be refining something, and like they give me the word finesse as well. So it's almost like you're really going to improve on something that you've got going on already. And that sort of return to something that feels a little bit familiar or comfortable, because it's an energy you've been working with for so long, is also just kind of putting you back in the zone of being able to really get in there and do what's necessary, do the work. Now you've got the King of Cups here, and there's also something showing where he's lifting up, you know, the ship out of the turbulent water, out of the energy of sort of, you know, what feels like it's not a safe space for you. And that's the thing, right? Particularly if we're doing things on an emotional level, if we're working on a healing level, we need to do that in places and with people that we feel safe and secure with. So maybe a little bit of a heads up to ensure that if you are going to open up, if you're going to be vulnerable, or if you're going to give yourself the time or the space to explore something, that you kind of have that support system, or that the conditions around you feel hospitable for that unfolding, okay? But there's also something about just like the wisdom that you're bringing. You have a lot of emotional support, actually, I think, more than you might be initially feeling. But I have a sense that, you know, as we move into our Mercury retrograde, which is going to begin on the 9th, of course, we'll have had shadow energy right from the beginning of November. But as we come into that cycle, and we know all of the things that it brings up, right? There can be travel delays, there can be issues with tech, communication can feel stilted and challenging. But I think for you, there's something about either coming back into contact or returning to a space or a person that just offers that sage advice, that wisdom, and it just kind of feels like actually it's the right time. It's the right time to go back and you know, receive that emotional support or that wisdom, you know, kind of have that reunion or that coming back together. And maybe it's someone that you've not seen for some time. Maybe, you know, they are still in and around your energetic field, but, you know, this is something that feels like it's sort of intentionally kind of arranged. And it's, to me, feeling like it's about how it supports you with something that you're dealing with and going through in regard to an emotional experience. Now, there's definitely this reset energy through 8th house for you, right? And I think there's also something around themes of like ownership coming through as well in 8th house. And it may feel that, you know, you're having to divvy things up, you're having to let go of things, you're having to assess where money is coming from, where shared resources are needing to be readdressed. There's refinancing of debt going on in 8th house. So there's some stuff that sort of feels like on a kind of practical level needs to be dealt with and needs to be taken care of. Now, the thing with November's energy is I believe that there's a sort of intensity that continues, that 2025 has been so generous and delivering, but at the same time I think there's more of a lightness in you as well, because you are just getting closer to the version of you that you're meant to be. And there's almost like a discipline that's coming in by way of like how you're controlling your energy, which means that your emotional responses are improving. So even though we have some challenges and maybe some setbacks that surface around some of these aspects, the fact that we have our 2 flowers still attached to the tree, still in bloom, still showing and demonstrating that, you know, there are real things of value that, you know, can continue to support you and can continue to flourish in your world, wants to be reminded to you, okay? You know, you are handling it all so much better than you ever have. You are figuring things out that you never thought you would be able to. So we want you to see how much more you're going to be capable of, given that hindsight and that awareness, as we look at what the last few weeks of this year really want to deliver. Now, Jupiter is going retrograde in Cancer on the 11th, of course, our 1111 portal. We've got energy of justice coming through here with another 11. And it does feel like there is something that is being almost like rebalanced, and there's something that's sort of coming to a point of it's like there's a point of acceptance, you know, almost like I almost feel like a truce type of energy, you know. So if there's been conflict or challenge, that maybe just feeling around that time that there's some sort of truce or ability to find that still point. Remember, it's a powerful opportunity from a manifesting perspective, and there's a lot of magic and alchemy in the new moon in Scorpio as well on the 19th. So for me, the 11th through the 19th are just like a, a window where, as you harness how the blessings of Jupiter want to work with you internally, right? You are amplifying your understanding of where the blessings are showing up in your life. And it's, I suppose, one of these things where you have to be able to recognize it. Sometimes that's harder, isn't it? If you're looking through your life from a lens of, slightly distorted constructs because you've really been through it. Or it's just difficult to see the wood for the trees. But the more around that energy you can actually try to sort of rationalize and really realize the things that are in flow and that are coming together and that are starting to open up and afford you new opportunities, the more they're going to be amplified over the next few weeks. And I do think that there is a sort of upside to almost taking a step back or redirecting your energy that you'll come to a conclusion around, and then on the 11th it feels like maybe it's already put into motion, and you're going to feel the relief of that in some way. There's always a little bit of a kind of cautionary note around signing or legalities that are coming up through a retrograde energy, for Mercury. So it stations direct on the 29th. Just keep that in mind. And if you can hold off, would be preferable, right? But you might have something where you also feel that the legal decision comes on the wrong side for you, so it may feel like it's a bit of a knockback or a setback, but I'm going to say to you, it could get revisited. So that's the upside. If it's happening through this retrograde Mercury, it's more than likely that you may have an opportunity to like either appeal or go back over or change the conditions or the details of something. So don't be too quick to make an assessment or a judgment about what this might mean for you, okay? The new moon in Scorpio is powerful alchemical energy, and it brings a lot of magnetism to the situation. You're kind of on fire with something around that time, actually. So whatever it is that you're focused on or that you've got going on, Emperor, you see you're very in control. You come across really like you know what you're talking about. There's a lot of authority and agency that you bring to situations. So any conversations, encounters, anything that you're trying to achieve or do around that moon, there's something special, so take advantage of that. You'll feel that confidence, but remember what I said, you have to go to the places and explore the kind of parts of yourself where you feel like you don't have any confidence, because that's where almost spirit are pushing you to challenge yourself, to realize that actually you got to get out your comfort zone or do something to really address that. I think that you will, because the desire to want things to be different, to have a different experience, to feel different is so strong. It's such a motivating factor. The pain has real purpose in relation to that, and you end up in a very strong, powerful position, okay? Now, when we move into Sagittarius energy, of course, it's fire, so that's going to be speaking your language. And, there's almost like a sort of youthful energy that bursts through. Remember, like today's the youngest you're ever going to be, Aries, and it's kind of like embracing like where you're at in your life. Now, what we see is the 27th, Saturn going direct, and the 29th, Mercury going direct. So this also opens things up, and it gives you a sort of spring in your step with regards to something, okay? I feel that will be a very progressive time, and actually you'll get a huge amount sort of agreed upon. Like I always think November's like a window into a lot of what the energy of 2026 will deliver. So as you kind of see the themes that are showing up for you, you're also seeing the version of yourself that's going to be responding to those themes over the next 12 months. I think you're going to get a pleasant surprise in regards to that, okay? You're taking responsibility, you're taking accountability, you're allowing this reset, this rebirth. Your autonomy is speaking strongly. You're motivated about certain things, and there is just like a little bit more of this lightness energy, because you're either seeing how something can be done, you're being given information that helps offer up a new direction that previously wasn't available to you in some way, or also something that you thought was kind of dead in the water resurfaces and actually is almost looking like it could be better than what you'd anticipated previously. So there could be a real turn of events coming in toward the end of November that I like for you, okay? But you have to be in this place of bringing your confidence to the table regardless, okay, and just kind of standing strong in that notion. Now, if you're new to the channel, the last 3 cards we're going to look at in my extended reading, you're going to find the link in the comment and description box underneath. We talk for another 25 minutes or so. We'll also look at a personal and a relationship card. So if you are resonating and in a position to join me, I would really appreciate it. It helps me to keep showing up to do the free readings. I'm just looking at the clarifiers to see the direction we're going to take that. The Lovers and the Hanged Man coming through. We also have 8 of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune. So please check out my seasonal offers. You're going to find details over on my website, romywiser.com. You'll also find ways to work with me, my sacred titles, just everything that I have that is directed towards helping and supporting you on your spiritual path right now, okay? And you will find the link below, right? romywiser.com. You've got a lot of strong majors coming through here. King of Cups, Page of Swords. Like, your words have such power. Like, there's such a sort of a wisdom that you're able, like, to kind of hold at the end of the month. Really good, strong negotiating position for you, actually. Okay, let's have a look at Life Soul Vision Oracle. So this is my deck. How are we adding to this conversation for you? Portals of possibility. You know, something that has felt delayed and blocked definitely will open up as you see that energy of Saturn going direct, okay? Spirit Bear, Root Energy. Casting out constellations. I think, you know, it's really important to get the foundations right in the month of November. You will make strides. Look, there's a lot of movement here. It's kind of got to be, it's got to be like on your terms though. It's got to be done in a way that it feels right for you, okay? And your nervous system, your body, you know, your emotions are going to tell you that, right? And if it's not feeling that way, it's about not being afraid to keep renegotiating and returning, to open up the conversation, to make sure actually that, you know, it is something that you can work with, you can accept, you can find a way forward with. Brilliant beliefs, luminous life force, personal power. I love that. Okay, I think that Emperor, Spirit Horse, brilliant beliefs. There's just this real sort of focus that you bring. Very magnetic at the end of the month. Look, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. Please join me. We'll go deeper into this month and see where we're going to take things for you. Have a great November, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.